Unless you're an English major, at one time or another you will have to write a paper where you talk about numbers. You have probably read some papers like this that are very dry, boring, and hard to understand. Today we're going to talk about how you can write about numbers in a way that is interesting, clear, and sure to grab your reader's attention. First, it's important to know the audience and discipline you are writing for. So what are some examples of where you might have to write about numbers? In business reports and case studies, you will often need to refer to information in graphs, tables, and charts. For example, you might discuss the profitability of a company or changes to its market share over time using graphs and tables. Psychology papers also frequently draw on numbers, especially survey responses to human subjects research. If you ask 50 people a set of 5 yes or no questions, you immediately have some numerical data that you can incorporate in a paper. In these and other disciplines, writing well will require you to deal with both qualitative or descriptive data and quantitative or numerical data. Sometimes the best way to convey numerical data is to think of it in a qualitative way, like a story. This is because while not everyone thinks in numbers, most of us can understand the importance and relevance of a good story. Stories capture people's attention. You should translate interesting facts from your data into something attention-grabbing like a headline. Stories also provide context. By describing your numerical data with words, you can give general awareness and perspective on an issue. To make your numbers more clear, write out answers to how they answer the questions of who, what, when, where, and why. The point is to make your story relevant to major issues and easy to understand. Finally, stories can inform debate on specific issues. When you describe and interpret your numerical data, you are voicing your opinion and entering an academic conversation on a topic. If you are having trouble seeing how your numbers fit into a story or narrative for your writing, consider some major themes. Do your numbers add new information on topics of current interest and current events? How are they relevant to daily life? Does the data have an impact or relate to people's personal experiences? Or is it best to think of applying your data to a specific group, such as a company or industry? You may want to check out recent media headlines or articles in your field to see where your data fits best. To get started turning your numbers into a story or narrative, focus on finding the value of your numerical data. First, ask yourself about the context for the data. What are you trying to achieve? Who is invested in your project's results? Are there any larger goals your projects help meet? You should also ask what specific needs can be addressed by intelligently using your data. Armed with more information, what can you accomplish now that was impossible before? Next, consider your vision for how to use the numerical data. What will meeting the need with the data look like? Could you mock up or draft an example of a final result? What is the logic behind your solution? Last but not least, consider the outcome. How will your results be used? If you are writing for a company, who will be interested in your results? And how can you measure your success? All of these questions will help you determine the value of your data to real-life situations. Once you have a better sense of this value, it will be much easier for you to describe and apply your data to solutions in writing. Of course, knowing the value is only half the battle. You might have an abstract concept or goal in mind, but not much sense of how to get from your graphs and charts to the final solution. This is where building the framework comes in. Imagine that you are an architect trying to build a skyscraper. You have an idea in your mind of what you want it to look like, but now you need to sketch out some blueprints. Thinking of yourself as an architect is a great way to have fun experimenting with your graphs and data. First, play around with your data to find inspiration. Grab a paper and pencil and sketch out some charts and graphs. Outline how you might describe them in writing. Don't forget to do your homework. To cut out the noise, focus on the most important data, and then bring the data to life. To do this, you'll often need to do additional research. You may want to practice crunching or analyzing your numbers in several different ways. Finally, bring your data to life by visualizing it. When putting together your charts, graphs, and descriptions, you want them to be aesthetically pleasing. Rather than getting lost in all the data points, try to look for trends and strong relationships. Be willing to compare different perspectives to see what you discover. When it comes time to actually create your final graphs and charts, make sure your data is presented in a way that is clear and easy to understand. Show lots of data in a single graph from a big picture perspective. Avoid showing unnecessary information that will just distract from your main idea. Instead, present information logically in clear visual patterns. You should stick to one unit of measurement and keep your graphs and charts consistent. Finally, avoid acronyms and abbreviations in your charts that will confuse your readers and leave them searching for a definition rather than engaging with your data. Now that you have a clear framework for your data and some charts and graphs developed, it's time to put that information in writing. Try to focus on 2 to 3 of the most important findings so that your readers are not overwhelmed by the information you have collected. Write in everyday language and always explain any jargon or technical terms that you use. The audience you are writing for will factor into this decision. Is your reader an expert on the topic, or does he or she need a basic introduction? Create images for your readers. Vivid word pictures and descriptions are much easier to remember than a list of numbers. Overall, focus on those most important topics and messages that you want your readers to remember. If someone walked away from your writing with only one point, what would you want it to be? It may help to choose the points that you consider most newsworthy and timely. What implications from your data are most likely to influence people's lives today? In conclusion, any time you write about data, actually any time you write at all, your end goal should be to call your readers to action. Your data can uncover original insights and inform debate and decision-making about important topics. When you describe this data in a narrative, you package it in a way that all your readers can understand. Finally, this narrative gives you a chance to describe and defend the solutions you are proposing. Having done research on a topic, you are an expert and in a unique position to make improvements in your company, field, or discipline. Now it's time to get to work turning your ideas into actions and bringing others on board. For more information on this topic, see the article From Data to Insights by Google's Daniel Weisberg and the report Making Data Meaningful from the UN Economic Commission. And be sure to check out our other helpful tutorial videos on writing in college and business.